Good evening and a very warm welcome to Back of the Net. I am your host for our latest instalment. My name is Charlotte Richardson, and if you catched our show on Friday, we put together our team of the season for the National League. Well, this episode, we're going to put together our team of the season in the Isthmian League, and there's only one man that I was going to call for this task, and that is Grays athletic manager Jim Cooper. Jim, how are you, sir?
Very, very well, Charlotte. How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, thank you. I'm not doing too bad at all. And you know what, Jim? There's not many people I would trust with a budget to manage in the Isthmian League, but we're going to go through it over the next 40 minutes or so. So don't spend too much money, okay, with these recommendations.
It's like fantasy football, isn't it? Yeah.
It is indeed. And obviously, I guess it's just been such a strange time. And I know you and I have spoken about it on the show, about how the season's come to an end, and it has, in a way, obviously, with what's going on, it's eclipsed some of the achievements of the 2019-20 campaign. And you and I have followed the Isthmian League. Obviously, you are so hands-on in the division, and we've seen some brilliant games. We've seen some great fixtures, some great talented players coming on. So I think it feels right, actually. I don't know how you feel, that we give a bit of plaudits and we single out some individuals and give them a bit of a platform and a pat on the back.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, first and foremost, those clubs that were battling for promotion, you feel for them, really do feel for them in all the leagues, in the Isthmian League. But you're quite rightly, there were some outstanding performers within those sides. And I think that if we can put together a side that would grace an Isthmian 11, then great, because you're right. I mean, it's always nice to get some plaudits, etc. And we probably could have picked about 4 or 5 different teams, but we've got some names you want to go through.
Yeah, let's go through it. And I must say at the very start, I am backing any team that you put together. So let's start with the number 1 position, goalkeepers. Who has caught your eye over the season?
Yeah, there's a couple for me. Hornchurch goalkeeper Joe Wright. They were the league's least conceding side. Very, very mean defence, but regardless of having that fantastic defence in front of him, he's an excellent goalkeeper, ex-Enfield, and has settled in well at Hornchurch. He's definitely up there, and I've spoken to my peers as well around this side, and got quite a few votes from others as well. And the other one for me is Jack Giddins from East Surrock, who is basically he's a wonderful keeper. He is, he's lauded from the Conference South, certainly through the Isthmian Premier League, and sadly he's just left, I think, East Surrock, and will be a great addition to wherever he signs next year. But I can only choose one, and the fact that Giddins has got probably not as good as a back 4 in front of him, I think he deserves the honour for my number 1 for the past season, at least anyway. So I'm going to go with Jack Giddins from East Surrock.
Okay, so we've got our goalkeeper and 2 really good kind of finalists for that position. And I actually remember when you and I went to do the commentary for Back of the Net with Enfield, and Joe's kind of commanding presence there, and I think he's gone on to enjoy another good campaign. But it's Jack who gets the nod. Okay, let's talk about centre-back pairings. Are you going to look at this, I should say, from a sort of centre-back pairing point of view, or are we going to kind of look down the more individual point of view?
For me, as a manager anyway, I think it's important that you get a good partnership. So ultimately, I am going to go for a partnership who's been playing for the same side this season. There are quite a few candidates for this role. Frank Wilson from Merson, who we know very well, has put forward Paris Hamilton Downs, who is Carshalton Athletic captain. He led them very, very well this year. Magnificent season for Carshalton. But in particular him, he was actually down the Met with me many, many years ago as a young kid, and even then you could see what precocious talent he was. But he's just blossomed, the lad. He's filled out. His passing range, a diag ball from the back, is something that Carshalton do very well, and his defensive displays this year have been excellent. But he is picked by the partnership again for Hornchurch. You can't only concede, I think it's 27 league goals this year, and not have those two. And for me, vastly experienced two centre halves, that would be Ricky Howells and Arthur Lee. Now, Arthur Lee obviously signed this year from the successful Tunbridge Angels side last year, and they've got a good balance, a good right and left-footed partnership there. Both experienced players, dominant in both box aerially. Ricky's also very, very good on the floor with possession of the ball, but he's also a leader. And so you've got two experienced leaders there, I think, in front of, as I say, Jack Giddings. I think that would be a good start to the spine of the side.
Yeah, I cannot see many teams getting goals past that trio alone. And you talk about Hornchurch there and their defence, and actually we're back in the net. We were able to go and watch them on the first day of the season, and even then you could just see how commanding they were and the leadership they had throughout the side. And like you say, having leadership in that spine there is really important, and particularly kind of your centre back pairings, you want them to lead from the front. So if we look at the left back role, who would be filling that position for you?
Again, we've got two people for this role, and we've gone for either Alfie Paxman from Folkestone or Cameron Tutt at Worthing. Both players are very, very good going forward, got good engines. When I've seen them both, though, defensively, they've still got the good attributes of being good defenders, albeit both of them, I would suggest, are better attacking fullbacks than they are defending. So in that one, Folkestone have had a fantastic season this year, which are you quite happy for me to say that? Bearing in mind they're quite close to Margate.
I'm all right now, Jim, but if I don't hear of a couple of Margate players getting a little mention at some point, I might get a little bit sore about that. But no, you're right. He's such an untalented player, and he's really flourished under Neil Cugley there, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, Neil gets the best out of his players. I mean, he's a legend, isn't he? He's a fantastic manager, motivator. And you're right. I mean, so Paxman, I think, has also been described as being a striker, and yet, he's been playing in that attacking left back position. So he's going to get the nod over Cameron. So Alfie Paxman, for me, slots in at left back.
And you know what, Jim? It's so funny you say that, because I didn't even twig. Like, Paxman was so prolific for Ramsgate, again, another major rival for Margate, in that striker's role. So he's completely changed his game. So yeah, deserves massive, massive plaudits for making it into your final 11 and adapting so brilliantly. And like you say, Folkestone were on track again to be in and around for promotion into the National League. But we won't get to see them in the National League. They're going to grace us again next season in the Isthmian League. So switching over then, like you say, with the wing-back position now, it's kind of changed a lot in recent years. You kind of wanting those attributes of being able to do your defensive duties really well, but also offering a bit of outlet in attack. Who would you use to kind of give you some balance on that side?
On the right-hand side of defence, so I've gone with a back four, as you've picked up. And again, so it's another Worthing player, and that's Joel Colburn. So Joel is still a young lad. He's still a young boy, and I've heard so many good things about him. I've spoken to quite a few managers recently about him, not in relation to, obviously, sadly, him signing for Grays, because it's quite some way for him to go. It's a step down for the boy, as in leagues, I would suggest. But I've had a few people ring up from sides that in the National League and asked my opinion of him. For me, he has got potential to go a lot higher, albeit I'm sure he's really enjoying his football over at Worthing. Worthing 2 seasons ago, I think it was 3 seasons ago, were close to being relegated from the Isthmian Premier until Adam took over, and he turned them round remarkably so the last 5-6 games of the season. And then they've just flourished, and Joel, I think, has just epitomised exactly what Worthing are all about. He gets it, over there. I think he's comfortable. I think he feels at home, and obviously, they're getting the best out of him. So, that back four for me has got balance. It's got experience, pace. It's got a little bit of innovative ability in its nature, and all 4 of them would be comfortable in possession of the ball.
Yeah, really good point there. And I think that the mentioning of Worthing, like you say, the job done there, they've become one of the best footballing sides in the league, particularly in possession play. I can always remember every time I've watched them, they've just all looked so comfortable, and they've really put together some fantastic attacking movements, being patient in possession as well. So like you say, Joel's inclusion there, you would definitely get a player who's comfortable and confident on the ball as well. So if we move into midfield and central midfield, kind of the heartbeat of our team, who are you going to be including in there?
So at the start of this team selection, we mentioned about partnerships, and again, I have gone for a partnership. I think that if you've got a partnership in the two centre half positions, which I have at this present time, if you can continue that spine with a couple of players who know each other well, who work for each other, they know when to hold when the other one gets on. They obviously communicate well with each other and get on well off the pitch as well. I'll say they are in a minute, but we thought about maybe Scott Hurd as well, again from Folkestone, who would probably walk into any side in that league anyhow. We're going to play two holding in this side that we're going to pick. But, you know, Scott's an excellent player. That was a tough one for me. I mean, he's that good, and to not pick him in that side was fairly difficult. But we've gone for the Kingstonian partnership of Tommy Kavanagh and Kenny Beanie. I know both these players very, very well. Without being disrespectful, neither of them were in the beginning of their careers, but both bring vast experience and knowledge of the game. And as I said a little while ago, the pair of them work together so well. Both of them can tackle as well, so they're not shrinking violets there. But they're both leaders, and if you can imagine, you've got Ricky Howes and Arthur Lee behind them, and then you've got Tommy Kavanagh and Kenny Beanie. You know, that is a fantastic four in the middle of your part there. So yeah, I know I would have made Kenny Beanie captain. You know, he's a leader. He really is. You know, he's been around for a long time. Kenny played for Grays, played for Dulwich and others. But he's led the K's very well this year. They didn't have a great start, Kingstonians, but you know, if you think about the FA Cup run they had this year, you know, getting to, I think it's the second round proper of the FA Cup, I can't see how you can't put any K's players, as we discussed at the beginning, as a reward for what they've done this year. So they're the two boys in the centre midfield in my side.
And I remember actually last season when we went to watch the playoff leg at Tunbridge Angels, you were really impressed. Kenny, even though he was on the losing team, he really kind of run the show on that occasion as well. And like you say, that leadership is such an important trait that I think any sort of team of the season will have. So interesting that you make him your captain. Any other allocations to midfield? You know, this budget is going quite quickly, Jim, so don't forget, I want some resourcefulness here. But anyone else that you think?
I've spoken to quite a few of those players I've already picked in the side, and they promised me they don't play for money anyway, so I've kept the budget. The more stellar positions. There's plenty of players who you know, who could have gone into that position in there. You know, I mean, even, you know, you could put in, you know, someone like Ollie Pearce as well from Worthing, who has been considered for the 10 role. You know, I'd appreciate he's more of an attacking midfield player, but he's the type of player also that can just go and sit in there and do a job. Solid, reliable, dependable player. But as you say, I mean, there's probably people at Margate. I mean, who at Margate would you consider to be an equivalent of those?
In the midfield role, I think one of the sort of emerging talents we have at Margate is Geordie Robbins, a massive engine. He missed a big chunk of the season, and we really did kind of miss him in our team. We tended to concede a lot more goals when he wasn't in our side, kind of shielding the defence there. So I think he's probably one that I would look to potentially to be in the team of the season in the future, because I think he, especially under the management of Jay Saunders, he's someone that he could really work with, and I know that Jay and Geordie have a really good relationship. So again, hopefully if that can continue into next season, I think he would only continue to flourish for them. But what kind of formation do you want this team to take? So if I'm looking at the midfield, are we going to go for a flat four, or are we going to go kind of for a bit more width? Who else are we going to include?
Yeah, so I'll be going for a 4-5-1 for this. I think that the Isthmian League has an abundance of fantastic midfield players, as it does forwards. But you know, it was too hard not to put in some of these midfield players. You know, yeah. So I would be going for 4-5-1, and you know, in the 10 role, as people say, everyone knows it now as the 10 role. I already discussed potentially putting Ollie Pearce in there. You know, like I say, you know, that he can play in literally in any position. But I'm going to drop down a league, and I'm going to bring in a player from Morden and Tiptree. Now, this is obviously an Isthmian 11, so, sides from outside of the Premier League will obviously be able to be considered. And for me, Danny Parish from Morden and Tiptree, probably better out on a wider position. But, I think he scored 32 goals this year for Morden and Tiptree. He was fantastic in their league campaign, in their FA Cup run, including the game against Leyton Orient this year. And again, like I mentioned about Kingstonians, I think that Morden Tiptree, for what they've done this year, well, what they could have achieved, should the league have carried on, deserves some recognition. And he, for me, alongside quite a few of the other Morden players, could have made it into this side. He's playing probably at least, well, for me, 2 leagues below the standard that he's playing at the moment. And I know his name's been bandied around, and he's an experienced player. But Danny Parish would play in that number 10 role for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really shrewd move there, incorporating him. And like you say, that amount of goals is prolific, really. Now, one name I do have written down here, who I think is going to make it into your 11, is a name that practically every week came up on the score sheet for Folkestone Invicta, and it was Ira Jackson. Now, is he making it into the final 11?
I think he's got to, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got to stand out.
Yeah, I think that I think he scored. He certainly, I think he's the second top goal scorer in the Isthmian Premier this year. I think behind Taylor from Cray. Yeah, I mean, everybody's been talking about him, haven't they? Not just the goals, as I understand it, but from his all-round play. He's getting a lot of recognition, which is totally deserved. And again, it's a case of Cugs getting the best out of his players. What a season Jackson has had for them. A hell of a lot of goals he scored. And like I say, other clubs have got to start and take note of the achievements from players that have been playing at this level. And I'm sure, people want to play higher, or they should do. Every player should want to play as high as they can for as long as they can. This lad here really, he makes my side without a shadow of a doubt. I'm sure he probably makes most managers in this league side. So yeah, he's going to play on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think on the occasions that I got to see him play and reading reports in the non-league paper, not only just obviously really skillful and clinical, but just an absolutely relentless work rate, which is such a key trait to have in non-league, because you can have all the talent in the world, but with some of the great defenders and the tough tacklers in the Isthmian League, you can kind of maybe get stifled out a little bit. But I think that's been part of his game that's developed that physicality, and he's obviously made such an impact in the Isthmian League this season. So who are we going to have again complementing that on the other side?
Yeah, so there was a couple of people who seriously considered this role. One of them is Zach Newton, who's currently at Cheshunt, under stewardship of Craig Edwards. Zach was also played for Worthing, played for me at the Met Police, funny enough. The boy is lightning quick. He's so quick and scores a lot of goals. He probably feels a lot more comfortable now, no disrespect to Worthing, because he lives near to Cheshunt, and that was quite a long way for him to travel for training and playing games at Worthing. And I think he's settled in very, very well at Cheshunt, and by all accounts, he's getting very, very good reports in every game he's been playing for them. George Saunders for Hornchurch, for me, gets the nod, however. George was plucked from either the Essex Olympian League or the Essex Senior League by a committee member over at Hornchurch. And as soon as he started playing over there, the boy is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, who is this kid? He doesn't particularly look like a footballer, but then nor did Chris Waddle, did he? And he wasn't bad. George is quick. His passing ability is superb. His work rate is phenomenal, and Stimo, Cugs at Folkestone, definitely is getting the best out of him. It wouldn't surprise me if he's no longer at Hornchurch. I mean, I think pro clubs are lining up to sign this kid anyway, and I'm sure that if not, then if you get a chance to go and see George Saunders over at Hornchurch, then I would suggest you do so, because he is an exceptional talent.
Oh, a great tip there for our listeners. And don't forget, you can also share your opinions with us by connecting with our social media channels, official BOTN. Let us know if there is a player that we have overlooked who hasn't been included in our considerations so far. Champion their cause, because we do love to read your comments and also read about your experiences as well following your team. So do get in touch with us as well. And Jim, you make a really interesting point there, because it's really eye-opening about the recruitment that goes on in non-league football and the importance of as well of a player being happy. So really interesting there that you know about the distance for travelling and training and stuff like that, and how that can contribute to performance. So I guess that's another thing we have to consider when putting that side together. Now we've got one more space in this starting 11, and we are looking for someone to lead the line. What are we going for in terms of this role then?
Oh, well, I mean, this is a tough one. Bear in mind, I've only gone with the one forward here. So it needs to be somebody who can hold up play, who can bring others into the game, can run the channels, but ultimately who can score goals. The player who I will tell you in a minute is all of those and beyond. And I don't think that there'll be too many people that can argue with this decision, albeit I'll be up for an argument anyway. So we considered Mohamedou Fall at Enfield. He signed from Kingstonians. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, he's quick, he's strong, certainly knows where the back of the net is. Chris Dixon at Hornchurch as well, a lot of experience and scores goals. And you know, he's playing a very good side at Hornchurch as well. The one player who just missed out was Josh Hutchinson for Potters Bar. Josh scored a lot of goals. I've known about Josh for a good friend of mine, Johnny Neal, for many years, and I've wanted to sign him for a long time, but haven't been able to. And he's a local boy to Potters Bar, or very, very close to it, and has scored a lot of goals. And he just missed out in that centre forward role. But the player I'm going to choose as the number 9 is also in a side that deserves some credit. He's the centre forward for Cray, and that's Joe Taylor. I think he's the league's top goal scorer in the Isthmian Premier. Signed from Folkestone. Cray have had an unbelievable season this year. Now, they were laying in second place at the postponement of the league, and who's to say they wouldn't have gone on and won it? You know, got promoted last year and have got, you know, moved on leaps and bounds under Tony Russell, and they all deserve a lot of credit at that club, because it's a very, very good run football club, Cray, as well. We played him in pre-season as well, and you know, Tony likes to get the ball down and play. So I can imagine this year they've seen some a lot of good games there. But Joe Taylor would probably get in any side in that league. You know, he is what I mentioned earlier. He's got all of the above, and league's top goal scorer, so he has to play in that position for me.
Yeah, I think a really good selection there. And I was fortunate enough to work with Joe when he played for Margate. And like you say, just kind of relentless, working so hard up top and being such a threat. So sometimes he'd be really good as a distraction technique and allowing other players into the game. But then you look at his own goal scoring record and just so cool and composed and the man you want in those moments, I suppose. And I think you make a really good point as well about Cray Wanderers and the season they've had, the job that Tony Russell's doing there, cultivating a really good kind of culture, which is so important. And off the field as well, they've had some really successful news coming through about their ground developments, and I'm not too far away from Cray Wanderers, and I just know the kind of brilliant impact that is going to have on the local community. So I'm really glad that a representative from Cray has made it, even though, Jim, you've let me down here. There's no Margate. Can't believe it, but maybe next season. Now, we will need someone to lead this team, Jim. I know it's your 11, but we want to kind of highlight a manager, a colleague of yours who you think kind of deserves, or maybe you can name a couple, but ultimately one choice, who you think from a managerial point of view has really kind of shone.
Yeah, well, I mean, I couldn't pick myself the season I've had, so there's no chance.
No question, you'd always be the manager.
Right, yeah, so I've got a few in mind. I've mentioned a couple of them already, you know, but I'll go for Morden Tiptrae's Wayne Brown. You know, they got through to the second round of the FA Cup, and they're in, you know, the Isthmian North. They would have won our league by a country mile. They played fantastic football, and you look at Wayne on the sidelines. He's driven. He's He's constantly at his players, even when they're winning games, comfortably. So he would definitely get a mention. We mentioned Tony Russell at Cray Wanderers, again, fantastic season. He's brought in some excellent players, and he's got them all gelling. Hayden Bird at Kingstonians deserves a lot of credit as well. Didn't have the best of starts this season, but had a fantastic FA Cup run. They probably would have got knocked out of the FA Cup if Grays hadn't been kicked out, because we were supposed to play them, but so he got let off there. But my manager to manage his side is Adam Hinchelwood. I think that he deserves the plaudits that he deserves this year. I mean, he's been a fantastic manager. As I mentioned earlier, he brought Worthing from a side that was literally almost certainty to get relegated 2-3 seasons ago, and has built a side that is capable and maybe could have won the league this year. So Adam gets a nod from me on that one.
Okay, well, there we have it then. And I think we have got a really strong setup there, Jim. I'm feeling confident that we can go into this fictional season that I've created. And you know what? I'm going to raid the back of the net reserves to see if there's enough budget left over for a little team bonding night out before the season starts. But it's really been great to have your company, Jim, and I think anyone that's made it onto this team sheet will be very proud that you've picked them out, given all of your experience and knowledge in the game. So thank you very much for your company. And if any of you out there, Jim has said he's ready to have a few arguments over Twitter to justify his team selection. So if there's anyone you think it's outrageous that we haven't mentioned, any kind of tactical switch-ups we need to do, then do get in touch with us on the show. We really would love to hear from you. And we hope the show has brought you a little bit of light relief during this lockdown, and we hope to see you again very soon. Until next time, take care.